The sky above Valora Prime burned red. War had finally reached the royal palace, the heart of the alien empire. Flames climbed the marble towers and black smoke covered the city like a storm. The people screamed. Soldiers ran through the corridors. Alarms cried in every direction. Inside the golden palace, Queen Arathia of Valora stood near the shattered window, her silver dress stained with ash. Her face was calm, but her hands shook slightly. Her people were dying outside, and every explosion reminded her how powerless she had become. She turned to her guards. "Protect the civilians," she ordered. "The palace can burn, but not them." The guards looked at one another nervously. The enemy was near. Their leader hesitated. "Your Majesty, they are too many. We must retreat." Arathia's golden eyes narrowed. "Retreat? From my own throne?" Another explosion ripped through the walls. The ground trembled. Dust fell from the ceiling. The guards dropped their weapons and fled, all except one. A tall figure in human armor stepped forward through the smoke. A scarred man named Eli Ward, the only human in the Royal Defense Unit. He was not born of Valora, but he had sworn loyalty to the Queen after she ended the human slave wars years ago. He looked at the running guards, and then at her. "They won't come back," he said softly. "It's just us now." The Queen turned to him, her expression unreadable. "You should go too, human. You owe me nothing." Eli shook his head. His voice was calm, but his eyes burned. "Maybe not. But I don't run from fire. Not anymore." Another blast struck the tower behind them, throwing both to the floor. The Queen hit her head on the stone. When she opened her eyes, she saw blood running down her arm. Eli reached out, helping her stand. "We need to move, Your Majesty." They moved through the smoke-filled corridor, passing fallen soldiers and broken statues. The once beautiful palace now looked like a tomb. The Queen's crown slipped from her head and fell onto the floor, cracked down the center. She looked at it for a moment, her symbol of power now useless. "Everything I built," she whispered. "Gone in one night." Eli looked at her, his voice steady. "Then start again tomorrow. But only if you live tonight." She gave a small, sad smile. "You speak like a king, human." "Just a soldier," he replied. As they turned the corner, they heard footsteps. Not friendly ones. Dark shapes appeared in the smoke, assassins wearing black plasma armor and moving silently. The Queen froze. "They came for me." Eli pulled out his rifle, but the energy cells were empty. He dropped it, grabbing a fallen guard's sword. It was an alien blade, heavy and strange, built for four-fingered hands. He raised it anyway. "Stay behind me!" The assassins spread out in a circle, their blades glowing blue. One of them laughed. "A human defender?" "The Queen has truly fallen," Eli didn't reply. He stepped forward. His boots echoed on the stone. The Queen watched, her breath caught in her throat. He fought with pure will, each movement slow but powerful. The assassins underestimated him. He blocked one strike, kicked another, and rolled to avoid plasma fire. Sparks filled the corridor. The Queen tried to help, but Eli pushed her back. "Stay down." She watched him take hit after hit, yet he didn't fall. Every time the assassin struck, he came back harder. But there were too many. He began to stumble. The sword slipped from his hand. One assassin aimed his plasma blade at the Queen's chest. She froze. Eli saw it. He moved faster than thought, threw himself between them. The blade pierced his shoulder. He grunted, grabbed the assassin's wrist, and turned it until the man screamed. The Queen gasped, her heart pounding. "Eli!" He tore the sword free and drove it into the assassin's chest. A shockwave of blue light burst out. The others stepped back, shocked. The sword began to hum, faintly glowing in Eli's hands. The light pulsed like a heartbeat. The Queen's eyes widened. "That blade, it answers only to royal blood." Eli didn't understand. He only felt heat in his chest and strength returning to his limbs. He swung again, and the assassins fell back. For a moment there was silence, only the fire crackling around them. Eli turned to her, panting. "We have to move." The Queen nodded, still staring at the glowing sword. "Who are you, human?" He wiped the blood from his mouth. "Just someone who doesn't like seeing a good woman die." As they limped toward the throne hall, the Queen whispered to herself, "When the world burned." Only one man stood. Behind them, the walls collapsed. Flames swallowed the corridor, but the two figures kept walking. a wounded queen and the human who refused to flee. Outside, thunder rolled. The assassins regrouped in the shadows. Their leader spoke through a comm link. "The queen still lives," he said coldly. "Kill the human first." The great gate of Valora Palace stood half-broken, its silver doors glowing faintly under the firelight. Beyond it, the city burned, towers collapsing, alien ships hovering low like vultures over their prey. Eli Ward and Queen Arathia reached the gate, their bodies covered in soot and blood. The queen leaned on his arm, breathing heavily. "We can't go out there," she whispered. "The assassins control the streets." Eli's eyes scanned the area. The air shimmered with heat. Somewhere close, footsteps echoed. Slow, cold, hunting steps. "They're not done," he said. "Stay behind me." He lifted the strange glowing sword again, the same weapon that had chosen him. It pulsed like a heartbeat, blue veins of light crawling up the blade. Every time his hand tightened, it answered with a faint hum, as if alive. Arathia stared at it, still in disbelief. "That sword is from my ancestors. It should burn your skin, yet it accepts you." Eli smirked faintly. Maybe it's tired of waiting for heroes. Before the queen could answer, the gate exploded inward. A wave of assassins in black armor stormed through, weapons glowing red. Their leader, a tall alien with a scar across his face, pointed at Eli. "Kill the human. Take the queen alive." Eli stepped forward. "You can try." The battle began like a storm. Plasma blades clashed against the ancient sword, filling the air with blue sparks. The queen watched frozen as Eli blocked, ducked, and countered with impossible precision. Each time he was hit, he came back stronger, the sword's light flaring brighter with every strike. But the assassins were endless. For everyone he cut down, 2 more came from the smoke. The queen grabbed a fallen guard's pistol, her hand trembling. She fired wildly to cover him, shouting, "Eli, fall back!" He turned his head just enough to smile. "Not while you're still standing." Then he charged. He leapt through the flames, sword flashing like lightning. One assassin tried to block, but the alien blade shattered his armor in a single strike. Another fired plasma. Eli deflected it, and the beam reflected back, burning the attacker to ash. The queen had never seen such fury. It wasn't just strength, it was will. Still, Eli's wounds grew worse. Blood dripped down his armor. His breath came in sharp gasps. "Eli," she cried out, "you'll die." "Then I'll die doing something that matters." He spun, cutting through 3 more enemies. His body was on fire with pain, yet the sword guided him, moving faster than any human should. The assassins started to hesitate, and the firelight showed fear in their eyes, but the leader roared, "He bleeds! Finish him!" They rushed all at once. Eli fell to one knee, blocking a dozen strikes at once. Sparks showered around him. His arm trembled. His vision blurred. The queen saw him falter. Without thinking, she ran forward and grabbed his shoulder. "You're not alone!" The moment her hand touched his armor, the sword blazed like a star. A wave of blue energy burst out, throwing the assassins backward. The ground cracked. Fire turned to light. When the glow faded, Eli looked at her unsurprised. "What did you just do?" Her eyes widened. "I don't know, but it felt like the sword recognized me. And you." He stood slowly, staring at the weapon. "It's like it's alive," she nodded. "It was forged from the heart of a fallen star. It was said to choose only the pure of soul." Eli gave a tired laugh. "Guess it made a mistake." Before she could answer, the leader of the assassins rose from the rubble, his armor half melted, his face twisted with rage. He aimed his plasma staff and shouted, "You think you can protect her, human? You are nothing." Eli gripped the sword tighter. "Then nothing will have to do." He charged again. The 2 clashed in a flash of light so bright the queen had to shield her eyes. Sparks exploded. The leader struck hard, sending Eli crashing into the gate. The sword fell from his hand and slid across the floor. The leader aimed the staff at Eli's chest. "Goodbye, hero." But before he could fire, the queen stood between them, arms wide, shouting, "Enough!" The assassin sneered. "Move or die with him." The queen's voice shook but didn't break. "If he dies, your war ends here, because I will burn my own palace before I let you have me." The leader hesitated, and that second was enough. Eli rose from behind her, grabbed the sword again, and swung upward with all his strength. The blade cut through the assassin's armor like light through glass. The leader fell, lifeless. Silence. Only fire and breathing filled the air. The queen looked at him, blood running down his face, the sword still glowing. "Why did you do this for me, human?" Eli wiped the blood from his lip and said quietly, "Because everyone else ran." For a moment they simply stood there, two figures surrounded by ruin. The queen's eyes softened. "You are my last shield," he smiled faintly. "Then I better stay standing." Outside, thunder echoed across the sky. The enemy warship was descending, bigger than the palace itself. The night sky over Valora Prime glowed red and gold as the massive enemy warship descended through the smoke. Its engines thundered like a storm, shaking the ground below. The once golden palace now looked like a dying beast. Walls cracked, statues burning, glass melted into rivers. Amid the ruins stood Eli Ward, a human soldier covered in ash and blood, holding the glowing sword that should have rejected him. Beside him stood Queen Arathia, her royal gown torn, her crown gone, but her spirit unbroken. The two of them faced the falling shadow of the warship together, two small lives standing against an empire of death. As the ship landed, the ground split open. Out marched hundreds of soldiers in black armor. At their center stood a tall alien with silver horns and eyes like fire, Lord Vekar, commander of the invaders. He smiled when he saw the queen. So this is the mighty Arathia, alone, cornered and guarded by a human. His voice dripped with poison. Pathetic. The queen's voice trembled but stayed calm. "If I fall, my people will rise again," Lord Vekar laughed. "Your people ran. Look around you. Your guards, your soldiers, your proud banners, all turned to dust." Eli stepped forward, sword in hand. "Not all of them ran." The alien turned to him, amused. "You? You think you can protect her with a toy you don't even understand?" Eli gripped the hilt tighter. The sword pulsed again, brighter this time, a rhythm that matched his heartbeat. "Then maybe it's time I learn." Without warning, Vekar raised his hand. Lightning-like energy shot from his palm, blasting the ground. Eli rolled aside, barely dodging. The queen screamed as the air around them filled with fire and sound. Eli's body ached, his wounds burning, but when his fingers touched the sword again, something strange happened. The metal felt warm, alive. His pulse quickened. The world slowed down. He could hear the sword whisper, not in words but in feelings. Protect, stand, fight. When he swung it, a wave of blue light burst outward. The nearest soldiers were thrown into the air, their armor shattering like glass. The queen gasped. "That power, that's impossible." Eli didn't answer. He stepped forward again, the light surrounding him like armor. Each move felt guided, each strike too fast for his human body. He was no longer fighting alone. The sword fought with him, Lord Vekar snarled. "That weapon belongs to the royal bloodline. How can a human—" Before he finished, Eli struck the ground with the blade. The shockwave sent cracks racing through the stone floor. Blue light ran through the cracks like living veins surrounding the queen in a circle of energy. Arathia stared at him, her voice shaking. "Eli, that sword isn't just a weapon. It's a bond," he frowned, breathing hard. "A bond?" She nodded slowly. "My ancestors used it to share their life force with those they trusted most. It chooses only one soul, one it deems pure." Eli blinked. "And it chose me?" The queen stepped closer, her eyes soft. "Yes, it chose you. That means our lives are now tied. If one of us dies, the other follows." Eli froze. "You mean—" "Yes," she whispered. "You can't die protecting me, because I'll die with you." The weight of those words hit him like a hammer. For a moment, he didn't know what to say. Then he smiled faintly. "Guess that means we'll have to live together then." The queen almost smiled too, a tiny broken laugh amid the destruction. "You humans always find humor at the edge of death." The enemy army began to move again, forming a circle. Lord Vekar raised his staff, summoning a massive storm of fire and lightning. Eli turned to her. "Stay behind me," she shook her head. "Not this time." As the lightning came down, both of them raised their hands, his holding the sword, hers touching his arm. Together, their combined strength unleashed a beam of pure energy that met Vekar's lightning in midair. The explosion lit up the entire city. The blast wave threw soldiers in every direction. The ground turned to glass. The palace shattered completely, leaving only ashes and silence. Eli collapsed to one knee, breathing hard. Smoke rose from his armor. The sword dimmed, cooling in his grip. The queen knelt beside him, her hand trembling as she touched his face. "You shouldn't be alive," he gave a tired smile. "I've been told that before." She looked at the sword, then back at him. "Do you feel it? The connection between us?" He nodded slowly. "Yeah, it's like you're in my chest. Like your heart beats inside mine." Her eyes glowed faintly, golden light reflecting from his pupils. "Then the blade has completed its bond." A sudden rumble echoed from the sky. The queen looked up and gasped. High above, the warship's main cannon was charging, a sphere of crimson energy spinning, aimed straight at the ruins of the palace. Eli stood again, tightening his grip on the sword. "If that thing fires, this whole planet's gone." Arathia's voice shook. "You can't stop it, Eli, not alone." He looked at her, the sword gleaming in his hands. "Then it's good I'm not alone." The queen took his hand, and for the first time she didn't feel fear, only faith. The palace ruins were silent, except for the wind carrying ash across the burning city. The once glorious banners of Valora Prime lay in tatters, half buried in dust and flame. Eli Ward stood among the wreckage, holding the glowing alien sword that had somehow bonded to him. Beside him, Queen Arathia leaned against a fallen pillar, her face pale, her body trembling. Above them, the warship's cannon charged, a spinning crimson orb that lit the clouds in red fire. It hummed with deadly power, ready to erase everything below. Eli stared up at it, sweat running down his face. "That thing's going to vaporize the whole city." The queen closed her eyes, whispering something in her ancient tongue. The air shimmered faintly around her. "There is one way," she said softly. Eli turned to her. "What way?" She opened her eyes slowly, golden and sad. "The sword can protect us, but to use its true power, I must give it what it once took from my ancestors." He frowned. "You're not making sense," her voice trembled. "That blade is called Solvane. It was forged by the first queens, a weapon of light bonded by life itself. It draws strength from the life force of its wielder. To awaken its full power, someone must offer part of their soul." Eli stared at her, realizing what she meant. "No, you can't," she smiled weakly. "It's the only way to save our people." He stepped closer. "Then let me do it." "Take mine," Rathia shook her head. "The sword only accepts royal blood or those tied to it. You and I are already connected. If I give my soul, the sword will unleash its true form and shield us both." Eli's jaw clenched. "And if you die?" She looked up at the burning sky. "Then you die too, remember? Our fates are one now." Eli's heart pounded. He didn't know what scared him more, the idea of losing her or losing himself. "Your Majesty," he said quietly. "You don't have to do this." Her gaze softened. "I am not your Majesty anymore, Eli, not tonight. I'm just a woman who refuses to watch her world die." The sword in his hand began to hum again, reacting to her heartbeat. The blue light deepened into gold, wrapping around both of them like a living aura. The queen took a deep breath and stepped forward until she stood inches from him. "If this works, the sword will awaken, but it will bind our spirits completely. You will carry a part of me, forever." He met her eyes. "Then I'll never be alone again?" For the first time since the war began, she smiled, a real smile, warm and sad. Then she placed her hand on the blade. The air rippled. Light burst from the sword, swirling around them in circles of energy. The ground shook. Eli tried to pull back, but her grip tightened. "Don't fight it," she cried. The light grew brighter, too bright to see. In his mind, Eli saw flashes, her memories, a young queen crowned under twin suns, her people cheering her father's death, the First War, her loneliness on the throne. She saw his memories too, a human soldier abandoned by his world, fighting battles no one remembered, holding the hands of dying comrades, choosing mercy when others chose hate, their hearts aligned, their souls connected. The sword roared with power. Its color changed, from gold to white, from white to a deep living blue that filled the sky. The warship's cannon fired. A beam of red energy came crashing down. But before it hit, Eli raised the sword instinctively. A massive barrier of light formed above them, wrapping the entire palace. The beam hit and shattered like glass. The explosion was silent. Everything stopped moving for a heartbeat. Then the world erupted in white. When the light faded, the warship was gone, ripped apart by its own weapon. The sky cleared, leaving only drifting sparks. Eli dropped to one knee, gasping for air. The sword dimmed again, smoking with energy. He turned to the queen and froze. She was on the ground, her hands glowing faintly, her eyes closed. Her skin shimmered like glass catching sunlight. "Arathia," he shouted, rushing to her. She opened her eyes slowly. It worked. "The city is safe." He lifted her gently. "Don't talk like that. You'll be fine." She smiled faintly. "No, Eli. The sword took too much from me. I gave it my past, my strength, my throne." He shook his head in disbelief. "Then take mine." "Whatever it took, I'll share it." Her hand brushed his cheek. "You already have. That's why you're still standing." Eli looked at the sword. The blade's surface now showed faint golden veins, almost like it was alive. He realized those were her veins, her essence flowing through it. "You gave me your life," he whispered. She nodded weakly. "And you gave me something more. You gave me hope." Tears mixed with ash on his face. "You can't leave me now." She smiled one last time. "I won't. I am part of the blade now. And part of you." Her fingers slipped from his hand. Her body turned into light, dissolving into the sword's core. The blade pulsed once, glowing brighter than ever, then calmed. Eli knelt in silence, holding the sword to his chest. The city around him was still burning, but the warship was gone. The queen was gone too, yet her heartbeat echoed faintly inside his chest. He looked up at the empty sky and whispered, "I'll finish what you started." The wind over Valora Prime carried the smell of smoke, blood, and broken dreams. The once golden city was nothing but black ruins, towers half melted, rivers of glass shining under the dying light. And in the middle of it all stood one man. A human Eli Ward. The sword in his hand and the sacred soul vein pulsed faintly with light. It was no longer purely blue or gold. Now it shimmered with a strange new color, a mix of the queen's essence and his human soul. He stared at the empty space where Queen Arathia had vanished, her last words echoing in his mind. "I am part of the blade now, and part of you." He closed his eyes, and for a second he swore he could still hear her heartbeat, soft and steady inside his chest. The silence didn't last long. Distant engines roared through the night as enemy dropships began to land across the smoking city. Thousands of alien soldiers poured out, forming black rivers of armor and steel. The Queen's palace, now nothing more than a crater, became their target. From their radios, the alien commanders shouted orders, "Find the human. The Queen is dead. Take the sword at any cost." Eli looked up, his face calm, eyes empty. The blue light from the sword reflected in his pupils. He spoke softly to the wind. "You want the sword? Come and take it." The first wave came fast. 20 soldiers rushing through the smoke, weapons blazing. Plasma bolts flew like falling stars. Eli moved. The sword hummed, reacting before he even thought. Blue energy shields formed around him, each deflecting fire with a crack of thunder. He swung once and the air split open. A shockwave tore through the attackers, sending them flying like rag dolls. But he didn't stop. He kept walking forward. Each step felt heavier, as if the Queen's power was flowing deeper into him. His veins glowed faintly beneath his skin. The ground trembled under his boots. He was changing, not into an alien, not into a god, but into something beyond human fear. A squad of elite assassins surrounded him. Their leader sneered. "You think you can stand against an army human?" Eli turned slowly, the sword glowing brighter. "No," he said, "but I can make sure none of you walk away." They attacked all at once, 20 plasma blades striking in a circle. Eli raised Solvane. The sword exploded with energy. Lightning danced across the ruins, twisting around him like a living storm. Every swing created a wave that tore through armor and stone. The assassins screamed, their bodies disintegrating into ash. When the dust settled, Eli was still standing, smoke rising from his armor, his breathing deep but steady. Then he heard her voice. "Eli," it was faint like a whisper in his mind. The Queen's voice, and soft, gentle, echoing from inside the sword. He froze. "Arathia?" "Don't lose yourself," the voice said. "The blade feeds on emotion. If anger consumes you, it will consume us both." Eli clenched his fist. He could feel the storm inside him, power and fury mixing with grief. He wanted to destroy every ship, every soldier that had taken her from him. But deep inside, he also remembered her eyes, kind and sad, asking him to protect, not to destroy. He took a deep breath. You trusted me. I won't fail you. The light from the sword calmed slightly, turning from violent blue to a steady silver glow. More enemy ships appeared in the sky. This time, giant mechs dropped from above, mechanical titans with plasma cannons glowing on their shoulders. The city shook as they landed. Eli looked at them and smiled. All right, let's see what this thing can really do. He leapt forward, higher than any human could. The sword roared in his hands, leaving trails of light. He landed on the first mech's head, drove the blade through its armor, and ripped it open from within. The explosion threw him across the street, but he landed on his feet. He moved like lightning, slicing through metal limbs, dodging plasma fire, using the sword's energy to leap between explosions. From a distance, he looked like a comet, a glowing figure dancing between chaos. The Queen's voice whispered again. Eli, your body can't handle this power for long. You must stop. He gritted his teeth. Not yet. Not while they're still coming. He raised the sword to the sky and everything went silent for a heartbeat. Then thunder cracked, and from the clouds above, a pillar of light fell straight through him. The ground exploded outward, sending shockwaves across the battlefield. Every mech within 100 meters collapsed in pieces. The soldiers fell, blinded by the flash. When the light faded, Eli stood alone again, breathing heavily, his armor cracked, blood dripping from his nose. But the city was quiet. The storm was over. He dropped to one knee, clutching the sword. Arathia. We did it, her voice was faint now. Yes, but the enemy will return. You can't fight them forever, Eli. You must find the others. Those who still believe. He nodded slowly. Then I'll find them. I'll rebuild what they destroyed. He looked at the sword, its glow fading to a soft blue pulse. And as long as this light lives, you live too. He stood up again, walking through the smoke. His shadow stretched long across the ruins like a legend being born. The wind howled through the ruins of Valora Prime. The fires had cooled, leaving only glowing ashes and whispers of ghosts. Above the broken city, a massive shadow crossed the sky. A new warship, black as obsidian and shaped like a blade. Inside it, a tall alien in silver armor stood before a viewing window. His eyes glowed crimson. Scars ran across his face like lightning marks. The Assassin Lord, feared across 100 worlds, killer of kings, slayer of queens. He watched the lone human below, standing among corpses and wreckage, the glowing sword in his hand. So, this is the one who carries her light, he said coldly. Send no army. I will end him myself. Down below, Eli Ward stood at the edge of the palace ruins, staring at the distant fires. His body ached. His wounds burned, but the sword Solvain still glowed faintly in his hand, whispering like a living thing. From the horizon, a storm of dark clouds gathered. The air grew colder. A strange silence filled the city. Even the fire seemed to stop crackling. Then he felt it. A presence. Heavy. Old. Deadly. From the smoke, a figure appeared, tall, armored in black steel, carrying 2 curved blades that shimmered with red plasma. His eyes burned behind a silver mask. Human, the voice boomed. You carry what was never meant for you. Eli lifted his sword. You must be the welcoming party. The Assassin Lord stepped closer. That weapon belongs to the royal line of Valora. You stole it when the Queen died. Eli's voice was quiet, calm. I didn't steal it. She gave it to me. The assassin tilted his head. Then you carry her curse. When I end you, her light dies with you. Eli's grip tightened. You'll have to go through me first. The wind exploded. The Assassin Lord moved faster than sight. One moment he stood 10 steps away, the next his blades clashed with Eli's sword. Sparks showered through the air. The shock wave cracked the ground beneath them. Eli stumbled back, blocking blow after blow. The assassin's strikes were inhumanly fast, his movements smooth and precise. Each impact felt like thunder through Eli's bones. You fight well, the assassin said, for a creature made of dust. Eli gritted his teeth. And you talk too much. He twisted, ducked, and countered with a burst of energy from Solvain. A wave of blue light threw the assassin backward, but the alien flipped mid-air and landed perfectly. The assassin smiled behind his mask. So the sword obeys you? Interesting. Then let's see how much of her you've truly inherited. He vanished again, teleporting in a blur of shadows. Eli turned just in time to block a strike from behind. Their blades locked. The assassin's voice hissed close to his ear. You feel it, don't you? Her spirit inside that sword. She watches you die. Then she'll watch me win, Eli growled. He pushed forward, both hands gripping the sword, sparks lighting up the darkness. His eyes began to glow faintly blue, the queen's energy mixing with his rage. The sword hummed louder, feeding on his heartbeat. Each swing cut through stone, each block sent shockwaves through the air. But the assassin lord was relentless. He struck Eli across the chest, armor cracking. Eli fell to one knee, blood dripping from his mouth. You are strong, human, the alien said. But strength without purpose is hollow. Eli wiped the blood with his hand. My purpose is simple. He stood again, raising the sword. Protect what's left of her. The queen's voice echoed faintly inside his mind. Eli, don't let the light die. He exhaled slowly. Not today. The assassin lord charged again, both blades spinning. Eli met him head on. Their swords collided, one powered by centuries of darkness, the other by a bond of love and sacrifice. The ground shattered. Lightning burst from the impact, racing up the ruins. Eli's vision blurred. The queen's voice grew louder in his head, her tone calm and powerful. Eli, the sword can end him, but it will cost something. It always costs, he didn't hesitate. Then take whatever you need. The sword's glow deepened, the blue turned white, the hum became a roar. The assassin lord stepped back, sensing danger. Foolish human. That power will consume you. Eli smiled faintly. Then I'll burn with it. He raised Solvain high, and in the storm above responded. Thunder cracked. Bolts of lightning crashed around them, drawn into the sword. The assassin lunged. But Eli swung first, a single strike, blinding. Filled with light, the explosion ripped through the air, turning night into day. When the light faded, the assassin lord's armor lay split in two. His mask cracked. For the first time, fear showed in his eyes. He whispered weakly, You are not human. Eli stepped closer, his eyes glowing like stars. No, I'm what she made me. The assassin fell to his knees, then to the ground. Gone. Eli dropped the sword, falling beside it, panting, his vision dimming. His body shook from the energy still inside him. Eli, the queen's voice whispered. You did it. But your heart. It's fading, he smiled faintly. Then let me rest a moment. He lay back, watching the dark clouds clear, the stars peeking through the smoke. Rest, her voice said softly. But not forever. The night sky above Valora Prime was silent. The flames had burned out. The city that once sang with music and light now lay in gray stillness, a graveyard of kings, soldiers, and dreams. At the center of the ruins, among shattered marble and broken steel, Eli Ward lay motionless. His human armor was cracked. The sacred sword Solvain rested beside him, half buried in dust, still glowing faintly with the light of Queen Arathia. For a long time, there was no sound but only the wind whispering across the ashes. Then the sword pulsed. Once, then again. A soft voice filled the air. Eli, wake up! It was her, the queen. Her voice, faint but alive, echoing through his mind. Eli opened his eyes slowly. The world was dim, the stars blurred above him. He could barely move. Every breath hurt. But when his fingers touched the sword's hilt, warmth spread through his chest. He sat up, coughing blood, and looked around. The assassin lord's body lay twisted and still and defeated. The enemy army was gone, scattered by fear or fire. He whispered, It's over. Not yet, the queen's voice said. They're coming back. The emperor won't stop until Valora is ash. Eli gritted his teeth. Then I'll stop him too. You can't fight forever, Eli, she said gently. You are human, he smiled weakly. Then I'll fight until that means nothing. The sky flickered red again. High above, the Emperor's warship, a monster of metal the size of a moon, began to descend. Its engines glowed like suns, shaking the world beneath it. Eli staggered to his feet, gripping Solvain. The sword pulsed faster now, almost like a heartbeat matching his. You feel that? He whispered. That's her heartbeat. That's ours. From the burning clouds, the Emperor's voice thundered through the air. "Human, you dare stand against the Empire of Valora?" Eli shouted back, his voice raw but steady. "You don't rule Valora anymore." "The Queen is dead," the Emperor hissed. "Her spirit means nothing." Eli raised the glowing sword. "Then maybe you should come and see what nothing looks like." A beam of red energy shot down from the ship, turning the sky into fire. Eli planted his feet, lifted the sword high, and met the beam head-on. The ground shook. Lightning burst from the impact. The ruins turned to dust. But the sword didn't break, it had absorbed the light. The Queen's power and Eli's soul merged completely, the blade glowing brighter than ever before. "Eli!" the Queen's voice cried.
"Stop, it's too much."
He gritted his teeth. "We can end it here." The light became unbearable. His body began to break apart piece by piece, and skin cracking, armor melting, eyes glowing white. But he kept standing. His voice was calm. For her people, for her world, for her. Inside the warship, the Emperor watched in disbelief as the beam began to bend backward, pushed by a single human figure surrounded by blue and gold light. "Impossible," he gasped. The beam exploded. The warship split in half. A wave of white energy spread across the sky, erasing every trace of darkness. From space, the explosion looked like a new star being born. When the light faded, the battlefield was quiet again. No ships, no enemies, no sound. Only one figure remained, and standing in the center of a giant crater, Eli. His armor was gone. His body was glowing softly like molten glass. The sword floated beside him, humming gently. He looked up at the night sky. The stars were clear again. "It's done," he whispered. The Queen's voice came softly like a warm wind. "You kept your promise," he smiled faintly. "I just followed your light. Eli, your body can't stay like this. You are becoming part of the sword. You must let go." He looked down at his hands. They were turning into light, breaking apart like fireflies. "Maybe it's better this way," he said quietly. "You won't be alone anymore." "I never was," she said gently. "Because of you." He laughed softly, almost peacefully. "Then maybe we both found home." The next morning, when the sun rose over Valora Prime, the people who survived found something strange. In the center of the ruined palace stood a single sword, planted deep into the stone, glowing faintly blue. No body, no bones, only that blade. When the survivors touched it, they felt warmth, as if a heartbeat still lived inside. Years passed. The city was rebuilt. A new queen rose, one who told her soldiers the same story every year. Once, when the world burned and all guards fled, one human stayed. He fought for a queen who was not his own, and through his courage he became her light. When death came for her, he stood in its path. His name was Eli Ward, the last human of Valora, and on quiet nights, when lightning danced across the horizon, the palace guards swore they could see him, a figure of light standing at the gates, his sword resting on his shoulder, watching the city he died to protect. His legend lived on, not as a human or alien, but as something greater, a protector born of two souls united forever between love and duty.